checked dozens of videos about NIO and I can promise that you've been lied to. If you want to keep your money and to not lose the big part of your portfolio, please listen to the next information about NIO, because today we will break down all of the positive catalysts that usually being named regarding NIO, like for example the possibility of a short squeeze, Chinese stimulus, newest Onvo branded SUV and its deliveries, their growing gross margins, but that's not all. We will also break down their position on the market, possible catalysts for the stock price to drop, and general financial metrics that you must know about. In the end, as always, I'll share whether or not I'll buy NIO stock, and if yes, for what price. Hey there and welcome to the Market Monkeys channel. It's Julie here, and as for myself, I've been wanting to invest in EV shares for some time now, and with all of the buzz about NIO, I decided to take a close look at them. And what can I say? The amount of disinformation and speculations that I encountered among my colleagues on YouTube and in general throughout the internet is insane. So let's start from the first hope of NIO's shareholders, short squeeze. Short squeeze in simple words happens when a lot of people are betting that the stock price will go down, so they borrow the shares hoping they will buy them later at a lower price. But if the stock price starts to go up instead, these people must buy back the stocks as fast as possible to not lose even more money. The sudden buyback increases the amount of demand for the stock, so as a result, stock price can start going up really fast. And that's basically called a short squeeze. Right now, to answer the question whether or not NIO can go into the short squeeze, let's check their market capitalization. High market cap usually means that there are a lot of stocks being traded, and as a result, the stocks of the current company are being more liquid. And of course, high liquidity can decrease the chance of a short squeeze because short sellers have more opportunities to exit their positions. So here we can see that NIO's market cap is pretty large, being about $14 billion. Now let's go and check their short percent of float, or how many out of all of the stocks that company has are being shorted. And here we can see that it's about 11%. While the company has a $14 billion market cap and short interest ratio of 11%, it's important to note that the possibility of a short squeeze is pretty low. While 11% short interest is moderately high, it's still not in the extreme high range of 20 plus, where the possibility of a short squeeze becoming more and more real. Additionally, as I already mentioned, with a market cap like this, for short sellers it will be pretty easy to exit their positions without driving up the stock price drastically. In other words, while a short squeeze could happen if there is really strong positive catalyst, it's not something to rely on when evaluating the company. If you find this information useful or valuable for you, don't forget to hit the subscribe and like buttons. Let me repeat myself again because it's really important, and a lot of people are naming this as a positive catalyst for the stock. Short squeeze regarding NIO is wishful thinking, and I can claim that it won't be happening anytime soon. Next, let's discuss Chinese stimulus and its effect on NIO. Recently, China has been making moves to boost their slowing economy by cutting the reserve requirement ratio, or RRR, and allowing banks to lend more money. Essentially, when the RRR is reduced, banks have more money to lend to customers and clients, and by this, in theory, they should speed up their economy. And of course, right now, it's one of the main reasons for NIO shareholders and analysts to get excited. But here is the catch. While stimulus measures like this can indeed help boost certain industries, including the EV sector, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that NIO will benefit from this significantly or immediately. The reality is, these policies gave companies access to the capital, but they did not solve their issues like competition, profitability issues, or regulations. The Chinese economy remains under huge global pressure, and that's why it's really difficult to claim that only this stimulus will make a positive impact on NIO. NIO's stock price rose significantly this past month, but September was quite bullish overall for all Chinese stocks, which we can see from the performance demonstrated by the iShares MSCI China ETF. As we see, the ETF gained 28% during September, which is explained by the news of governmental stimulus for the economy that we just spoke about. Major Chinese stocks like Alibaba and PDD Holdings also railed massively over the last months. Now we will talk about NIO deliveries, and I'll try to show you that there are 2 points of view on them, one positive and one negative, and they're actually both correct. The most fresh information about NIO is its Q3 2024 delivery. deliveries. According to the release, NIO delivered 61,855 vehicles in third quarter, increasing their deliveries by 11.6% year over year. But unfortunately, their Chinese peers delivered much more, and here is a breakdown. Li Auto's third quarter deliveries were at 152,831 units, increasing by 45.4% year over year. Xpeng delivered 46,533 units in third quarter, which was up 16% on a year-over-year basis. As we can see, NIO is once again behind its Chinese EV rivals, and it's actually a red flag because we can understand that the product of NIO is less compelling to the customers than its rivals. But not everything is that negative, and from the other side, NIO delivered 21,181 electric vehicles in September, showing a year-over-year increase of 35.4%. In the previous month of August, NIO delivered 20,176 vehicles, and it was plus 4% year over year. September in general was the fifth straight quarter in which the EV firm delivered more than 20,000 units to customers, and this credit is in part due to NIO's newest launch of the low-cost EVs that are marketed under the Onvo brand. Importantly, the September delivery report broke down deliveries by the brand and showed that the 21,181 delivery total included 832 Onvo branded vehicles, representing a 4% delivery share right out of the gate. Onvo L60 SUV just started deliveries September 28, 2024. Therefore, the delivery of 832 vehicles was achieved only in 3 days. So it basically means that we can start considering it as a possible positive catalyst for the stock. It is not a positive catalyst just yet, but there is still a possibility that this new Onvo brand will increase significantly NIO's deliveries. And maybe it will even happen by the low-cost segment and the challenge on Tesla, because the average price of Onvo in China is about $21,200, while Tesla's Model Y currently costs Chinese buyers around $36,600. So, as you can see, there is pluses and minuses for NIO, so I suggest that we take a look at their valuations to try to understand whether to buy the stock or not, and if yes, at what price. As we already mentioned, market capitalization of NIO is being around $14 billion, and it's a lot for the company of this size. The company is still being not profitable, and it means that most of the stock performance is being based on the future expectations of investors what the company will become. And for you and me, it means that any possible setback in sales or deliveries will send the stock flying down, as we already saw it happen. Take a look at this. When the revenues dropped almost twice between September 23rd and March 24th, stock as well dropped almost twice. And this is a very important thing to remember and to pay attention to. Next up, revenues. NIO's latest earnings report shows revenue growth of more than 100%, but the company remains unprofitable, with the net loss shrinking, but not by much, from 6 billion yuan to only 5, while NIO's gross margins have improved from actually being in the negative territory and right now being around 10%. Its operating expenses still outweigh its income, meaning that they will not be profitable in the upcoming quarters. The company's PS, or price to sales ratio, is lower than their peers, but more than 50% higher than the sector's average. This once again, same as with the market capitalization, highlights that the stock is being priced based on the future hopes, but not on the current earnings. If we take a look at the analyst numbers, we can see that the opinions significantly vary. On the one end of this range, we can see that most of the Wall Street analysts rating the stock as a buy, with the highest price of $12.84 per share. On the lower side of this range, we have a sell recommendation with the price target of $4.03 per share. On average though, the analysts are expecting the stock to be about where it is right now, and we already saw why. While NIO is giving a fight to their rivals and proves themselves this past few quarters in revenues, they still have big issues like low gross margins, high operating expenses, and stock volatility that heavily relies on investors' moods and hopes for the future. As for me, I consider investing in NIO right now as a very risky move, because I don't like to invest in companies that drop their revenues twice and after a year getting them back. It's definitely not a sign of a stable company and not a sign of a stable stock. Please don't forget that each of us has different risk tolerance, and maybe for you this stock will be a great option. But remember the next rule: never fall in love with the company. When I was researching for this video, I saw many people comment all over the internet, "I love this company, I am sure they will go to $50 per share because I very much believe in them." No, just forget about this. If you are falling in love with some company, you are becoming biased, and after this you cannot trust yourself to make right decisions. You cannot follow your strategy and you cannot see clearly. I very appreciate seeing your comments and getting your feedbacks. This way I'm getting a sense of talking to real people and not only to my camera. If you found this information valuable, hit the like and subscribe buttons. I'll see you on our channel in our next videos. Happy investing!